Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Welcome, dear listener, to Kardec Radio. We're here live from the Chantilly, Virginia studios at Kardec Radio. And this is our second live program of the year, but we have several other beautiful programs that have been happening throughout the weeks, which is Kardec Radio for Kids, organized by Mark Smith and his wife, Carol Correa. They are both faculty at the University of Delaware, and they are spiritists, and they have been producing this program, Kardec Radio for Kids, since October. It's a beautiful way to teach your kids about spirituality. The program is directed to kids. Of course, adults would love it too. And they are producing, with their programs, beautiful YouTube videos on the programs they have been doing. So it's about stories of spirituality for children. Just log on at kardecradio.com and we have a special link to Kardec Radio for Kids. Also, every Sunday we have spiritist awareness. Several hosts from around the world get together to talk about different aspects of spiritism to you. If you have any question to them, if you have any suggestion, keep sending your emails to us at kardecradio@gmail.com. Also, every Thursday, Vanessa Childs from Seattle edits new Spiritist talks that are happening around the world. We have Spiritist speakers that are fantastic, giving talks in different meetings, different international meetings as well, and we are streaming them here every Thursday for you. Beautiful opportunities. And I forgot to say, not because I actually forgot, just that the order of events, Wednesdays, we have a beautiful program put together by our German friend, Franziska Kranz, and Mackenzie Mello from Massachusetts. They get together to read a chapter of Andre Louis' books. In this case, they are discussing the book, The Messengers. And they discuss the book soon after they finish reading that very chapter. This is very illuminating at a time on the earth in which people are suffering greatly. When we talk about the fact that many people around the world are in need of finer spiritual food. Many people are starving physically and spiritually because of the challenges of the transition we're living in. And that changes our vibratory field, our spiritual chakras. We're going to talk more about this and other things with the author of the book, The New Spiritual Chakras, and how to work with them, Elizabeth Joyce. Elizabeth Joyce has a beautiful life. She is born one of two sets of identical twins. Elizabeth has had her psychic gifts from birth. From Bergen County in New Jersey, housewife and mother, an unremarkable start, Elizabeth Joyce has become internationally respected for her gifts as a psychic and energetic healer. She has a lot to share with us. She went through a lot in her life, and she then decided to dedicate her life to helping people by raising awareness. How important is it that we raise our consciousness, as she says, to higher levels by developing an overall worldview and by embracing a world that transcends illusions. Wow. The year is still beginning. We're halfway through the first month of January, and it's still time for us to adjust ourselves to this new year. I've been reading a lot from scholars that this year is very special because it's a very spiritual year. It's a year in which we are being invited to complete things we've begun, which is quite interesting. We can talk about this and much more soon after we listen to this beautiful message that we're going to play now. The Kingdom of God is at hand, which was psychographed by the medium Chico Xavier, and the spirit author is Emmanuel. After this beautiful message, Elizabeth Joyce is going to be here with us talking about many things, and mainly her book.
The kingdom of God is at hand. Many times said the Lord, the kingdom of God is at hand. Until today, thousands of people have waited for its arrival through spectacular exterior events. Many expected through unspeakable cataclysms and feed their imagination with ghostly scenes incompatible with the divine mercy which presides our destinies. Thunders rumble in the firmament, tsunamis and earthquakes, mutinous crowds causing ruin, flammable fluids in the atmosphere turning it into devouring fire, withering bombs destroying entire nations. Those people usually count on the uncanny and the fantastic so that they can feel they are at the gateway of the great change. There is no doubt that such catastrophic events may take place at any moment in people's experience in the field of nature. However, far from meaning the kingdom of God, they only reveal the need for a new battle, with a rougher work to be done by those who take part in the evolutional boards of humanity. The kingdom of God is at hand, yes it is, but before all else, in our capacity to build it inside us through the heaven that we can offer to our neighbor's soul. Let's attend to the accomplishments of the duties life brings to us, helping as much as we can for the victory of the good by following the love the Lord bequeathed to us, and we will reach, as early as possible, the celestial atmosphere for us and for others. That's why Jesus likewise was adamant and fair when stated, when they say to you that the kingdom of God is here or there, do not believe them, because, in truth, the kingdom of God is within you. Emmanuel. Psychography, Chico Xavier. Free translation.
Yes, dear listener, it's about the kingdom of God in ourselves, in our heart. Elizabeth Joyce is here with us to talk about her own journey, and a journey that has led her to writing books, to helping people through her own psychic mediumistic abilities, and much more. Like many of us, or all of us on the earth, she went through several personal experiences from an abusive and traumatic childhood to a NDE experience and much more. And she recently wrote a book, The New Spiritual Chakras by Scarlett Publicity, and she is going to discuss this with us. The intent is to raise our awareness on ourselves, the multidimensional aspects of ourselves, and she's here with us. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being with us today at Kardec Radio. How are you?
Well, thank you, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. It's so good. You know, we are just beginning a new year, and many scholars have been reporting how special this year is. Would you like to share anything in that regard as well, Elizabeth?
Well, we're in a 9-year worldwide, and a 9-year is the year when it's a spiritual number. It's a high spiritual number, but it is the year when we have to let go of everything we no longer need. It's a year when the tide is out, when we go through the year doing our routines, and we may realize that a friendship is over. We may realize that we need to change a job, or we need to let go of caring for people that are abusive, all kinds of things. A 9-year is a cleaning year. It's like doing the laundry. And it does bring extra love from people, because you do get supported in your 9-year, and it can also bring extra money. But it is a year of where you have to let go of some of your attachments that may cause addictions and things like that. That's what a 9-year is about. But it's worldwide, so it's going to be happening in politics. And we'll watch all of this. Look at Donald Trump. Look at all of the changes in politics that are coming. And we're even having a presidential election in a 9-year. I find that fascinating.
That's very interesting. We know nothing is by chance in this beautiful universe commanded by God. And so would you recommend what should be people's attitude to really take the benefits of the configuration of this year?
No, it's simple. Your will is my will, dear Lord. Simple. Your will is my will. If you live that way, you can never go wrong. And it's very strange the way that events happen. Supposedly, events happen so that they get our attention. Spirit wants to get our attention. And sometimes when things come too easily, we take for granted and we don't appreciate or have the gratitude and the opening of the heart. So when the universe shows you the lesson, you always know it's always a little rough, a little difficult to accept or make the change, so that you can appreciate it once you receive it.
Interesting, very interesting. You say it's simple, Elizabeth, and I agree with you. But for many people who have been, in this immersed in illusions, that attitude is not very simple, right?
Well, no, people fight it. People fight it because they don't want their lives interrupted. They want the monotony, or they want whatever they've created. And if you've created something that's unhealthy, don't count on it lasting. Look at the woman that falls in love with a married man and wants him to leave his wife. That's one example. Mm-hmm. Look at the terrible harassment that we're having online with our teenagers. That's another example. These things have to change. They have to be eliminated.
Exactly. And in your personal journey, it wasn't like a flat line. You went through experiences yourself, right? And then
I think I've experienced just about everything a person can experience in life. I really do.
Wow.
And I can go on, but I don't want to get negative. But
no,
every single thing that I've gone through, every change that has been forced on me or that I've made, has turned out to be glorious in the end. Mm-hmm. I remember leaving my job. I worked at Teterboro Airport. I was in aviation. And I left my job for a relationship, and I went from New Jersey to Vermont. Now, the relationship failed, but had I not made that move, I would never have met my new set of teachers, which were extremely, extremely influential in my life. As a matter of fact, those teachers were the first ones that ever taught me a word called chakra. I had never heard that word before. So I did a transition where the relationship failed, but the opportunity to grow and open to a new world and a new way of life was tremendous.
That's interesting. So you're taking it from the perspective of life lessons, and all the masters say when we take it from that perspective, everything is always a plus, always. Right?
Because you let go of the past, and you don't wish that something had happened 20 years ago, and you don't hold a grudge against an aunt or a sister or a parent that did something to you when you were a teen. That's all gone. All of that was in that phase. You're not in that phase now. You're in a new phase, and you're doing something. You're living in the moment. And you're working with the humanness of who you are, and great things can happen when you live your life that way because you don't have any baggage.
Yes, it's lighter. So when you talk about the experience of learning the lessons of life and getting to the knowledge of our true composition, we're more than the eyes can see. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, we can tell people, you're more than the physical body. So can you tell us more about the composition of the human beings beyond the physical body?
Yes, I can. We have two bodies, actually. We have our etheric body, and we have our physical body. Our etheric body is our imprint that does the soul traveling, that does the out-of-body experience or the near-death experience, or when even healing, when you're praying for somebody who's in another state, your essence goes to that person, and that person's essence feels your prayer. So now it's called the universal double, and what's happening over the next, I'm going to say 30 to 50 years, is that we're going to be aware of our universal double, and we're going to be able to work with it in a more positive way and make it stronger, hence the new spiritual chakras. That's why they were brought to us.
That's interesting. You know, we want to remind the listeners that there's a book, hopefully soon also coming up, in English by the Spirit Andrea Luiz that we mentioned, Evolution into Worlds, in which he mentions about the chakras. And I find, you know, the beauty of it all is that the universal teachings, and when you talk about your explanation, so beautiful because it converges to the reality that we need to focus on raising that awareness. So what can people do to be in greater touch with that so important body of ours, the spiritual body?
The way in is the way out, and the way out is the way in. Meditate, 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 meditate. And what I teach my people, and this is not what people want to do, of course, what I teach my people is to do morning meditation and nightly review. The morning meditation is when you praise the Spirit for being there, for filling your body with their love. Spirit is filling your body every minute when you open your eyes. From that minute on, you are carrying Spirit within you, and every breath pulls Spirit in. So may you carry that love throughout your day and spread it to the people in your area. And then nightly review is a check. How did my day go? Is there anything that I have to do? Is there any way I have to make amends? And you have 24 hours to make amends.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's so interesting. Because, you know, when we are young, and I say young in a sense of like living the teenage years, beginning of young adulthood, majority of people on the earth are so focused on the material acquisitions of life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then how much of a burden can that focus cause to the dynamics of this spiritual body?
I don't know if it can damage the spiritual body. I don't believe the spiritual body can be damaged. I believe that you can ignore it, but I don't think you can damage it because it's total perfection. As a matter of fact, I teach people that when they're sick, a lot of people get the flu in the winter, or they have lung problems, or maybe a heart problem, or maybe something else, surgery. I teach them to take their etheric body and bring it inside of them. Do a visualization. Because when your etheric body is aligned with your body and you bring it inside of you, it's pure light and it heals. It's a very strong tool for healing. The etheric body is the body of perfection. It is not diseased. It is not out of alignment. So if you can concentrate on just bringing yourself to yourself, you will heal.
Mm-hmm. So you, when you talk in your book, The New Spiritual Chakras and how to work with them, what are the new spiritual chakras that you're mentioning?
In 2012, on December 21st, we received a new energy to this planet. This is the gift of 2012. It's called the double helix. It's an energetic that can be measured. It comes from the center of the galaxy, and it's new for this planet. The spiritual chakras are designed to bring that energy into the body. They're above the body. They start above the crown, then there's the 8th chakra. Behind the head is the 8.5 chakra, and at the base of the neck, where the brain meets the spine, is your 9th chakra. Very powerful chakra is the 9th chakra. And then above the 8th is the 10th and the 11th and the 12th. But the way that these chakras come around your head are doing some things. They're using more of the brain than we've been using on the planet. And when the 9th chakra opens, it causes a laser light to go through the brain, pierce the brain, and come out the 6th chakra, which is your third eye, awakening the power in the pineal and pituitary glands. Now, I can describe it to you, and I can tell you what I was given for growth as each chakra opens. As a matter of fact, on the back of the book, I have a color chart showing the colors of all the chakras and telling you what sign they are, because each chakra is a sign, an astrological sign, and then what colors they are and what gifts they bring. But this doesn't happen magically. You can't say it's happening now. You have to work towards it, just like you have to work to be an athlete or to sing like Barbra Streisand. You have to work towards it, and you do that with meditation. I wrote a book just before this book called Ascension, Accessing the Fifth Dimension, and I have found that if you read that first, it lays the groundwork for you to understand the new spiritual chakras.
So when you talk about meditation, what many of people constantly send to us at Cardiac Radio is a question like how to meditate, because there are different ways, right? Is there a particular way in which you would recommend?
There is a particular way in which I would recommend. All of my meditation experiences are in every book I've written, and it does describe it to you. But the easiest way is just to wake up and stretch. Take a deep breath. Bring both hands to your center, to your solar plexus. Close your eyes a minute, open up the crown, and let the white light flow down inside of you. If you do that much, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you just do that much, you're at least accepting the energies of the day and asking that your life through that day goes smoothly and easily with love. Then at night you can do more of a meditation. You can work your chakras, and then you can have a notepad, and you can write down that which you would like to receive, that which you would like to bring in. Of course, heavy meditators would meditate in the morning for about a half an hour and then meditate at night for a half an hour. That's wonderful. But I was trying to give it to somebody that has to meet a bus at 6 o'clock and be to work at 8 and that type of thing. It's very simple. Once you ask, you receive. This is the secret that a lot of people do not know. If you're floating in the energies, and you're going to have many busy days where you just don't have time. You hear that excuse all the time. But if you can just take a few minutes, or if somebody brings you flowers during the day, if you just take 2 minutes and thank God, oh, thank you for this blessing, or thank the person, then you're spreading something beautiful. I have noticed all through, let's give the Academy Awards, sometimes when you see somebody get an award, which we all watch on television, and they're coming up, they'll say, thank you, God, first. Some people do, and I just appreciate that. It just takes that little bit, just that little bit.
And it's interesting you're saying this because we've come to know we are co-creators with God in a way. We are. We're given, as you said, like the opportunity of co-creating our own reality.
May I explain that?
But many people around the world, they are not aware of it. They think life flows by itself. They don't have necessarily to do anything. Can you tell us more about that?
Co-creating with God is defined by decision. The word is decision. If you're breathing in His energy every morning, and everybody is, every animal, every tree, every leaf, every person is bringing in the energy of God during the day, then you're going to be using that energy in a certain way because your decisions uses the energy. Any decision you make is a decision that you create with your God center, for good or for ill. And it brings you back something. It brings you back a reaction. That's called karma. So we do co-create. If you sit down and you do a vision board and you start thinking differently, more in the vein of the way Louise Hay and Dr. Deepak Chopra teach, if you start thinking and being aware that you can set up something in your mind and that it will happen because you're setting it up in your mind, because we're electrical beings. Our spine is our antenna. Just like being on the radio. We're on the radio, the energy goes out into the universe, and it comes into people's homes. So it's that technique is made after the human body. Just about everything is. And if you realize that this energy that you have every day is priceless and it's sacred, then you can use it in that manner. Not for the ego, not because of what I want. The third dimensional way of thinking is I want what I want, when I want it, without regards of consequence. That's third dimensional reality. But everything has a consequence. Every decision has a consequence. Even though you might be half asleep and you're just doing your routine, you're still making decisions.
Exactly. And when you're talking about decisions, they affect the spiritual chakras. In your book, you talk about overactivity in a chakra and how we can slow down. Would you like to share a little bit regarding that?
Well, that's very deep. When you have an overactivity in a chakra or an underactivity in a chakra, if a chakra is not opening or if it's open too much, then you're off center, then you're off balance. I also have a list of some things that can happen in the fifth dimension as we're beginning to open up to these energies, such as divine headaches or not being able to walk standing up tall and inconveniences of the body as the energy goes through. All of that, of course, is only temporary. But once you're in balance, you don't have the anger, you don't have the depression, you don't have the I want to hurt somebody attitude. All of that is gone. And if that's true, and working with the spiritual body brings perfection and brings joy to the heart and happiness, and you have no inkling of taking from or hurting or controlling another human being, it's got to bring us world peace. 2 and 2 make 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, this is not fast. This is going to take eons of time.
So you would say by meditating we can shift it and rebalance.
It's a proven fact. It's a proven fact that meditation helps heart disease. Meditation helps aches and pains. Meditation helps you become your own power. You receive your own power, and therefore you can do anything. It's unconditional. There's so many realms of possibility, but if we don't slow down and begin to listen to our inner being, our inner helper, then we're going to keep crashing through the world like the ram. But we're not that. We have so many wonderful things that we can do. Everybody is born with a gift. Everybody has a reason for life. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has things that they can do that will help other people. That's why you're here. You're here for a reason. Everyone is here for a reason. And the reason isn't just to breathe. The reason is to do and create. It is. The reason is to do and create. So you need to go within, find out what that is, find out what some of your ancestors did, and do it with joy and love. So much resentment can be overcome when you realize that everything happens for a reason. That's what you said today. Everything happens for a reason. You don't really have to know what the reason is, but if you can get to the growth, once you learn the lesson, it goes away. And I have a ball with that because that's a real truth. Once you learn the lesson, you don't need the pain anymore. If that's true and you think you've learned the lesson, just say, okay, I've learned the lesson. It doesn't have to be here anymore. And it'll go away. Like a fog, it'll lift. It's really true.
It's interesting you're saying this because it reminds me of Jesus when he invited us to take the pathway of the universality of his teachings, and he mentioned how light it is if we really followed those teachings. And that's exactly what I hear from you. Like, it's so much easier than the reverse.
Well, everything that happens in life happens from your decisions. Therefore, it is not pre-programmed. So every single day, something's going to happen. Not one person can come into your life without you have already called them in. That's natural law. So if somebody appears in front of you that you feel uncomfortable with, that you may not like, you have to go within and find out who that is, what is triggered. What is triggered? What response is being triggered that's from your past that you have to go in and heal, or you wouldn't have that discomfort. We have warnings, and we know sometimes that somebody might be following us or harassing us, but what are we doing to participate in that action, and how can we clear it? This is total awareness, total cosmic living.
So in regards to, for example, abusive relationships, so you would then empower the person to be away from that victimization. Well, the way that you get away from the victimization is to not accept it. That's number one. And if you feel trapped, your decisions have made you trapped. But what is the trap? Is the trap that your father was abusive, so at 3 you learned love is abusive? If that's true, you need to go in and heal that. Interesting.
And then when you heal that, you won't have any abusive relationships anymore because you've healed it.
So do you think that deeper awareness regarding our spiritual chakras can potentially help us heal?
Well, yes, because the 8th chakra can't open until you are centered. This is something that's a new gift. This is something that if you've worked on yourself for a long time, or if you've had a blast out of the blue and you've been put in alignment and magically your karma has leveled out and these chakras start to open for you, first you've earned it, and secondly, it's going to put you in a new awareness where you don't have the past hanging on to you. You have unhooked. You have let go. And that's to be applauded.
Very interesting. You also in the book talk about the universal heart. What is it?
Oh, that's chakra 10. The 10th chakra is the new heart center. And it's the universal body's heart center. The color is amber. And what I have been doing since I've learned about it is sitting and meditating and taking a stream of energy from my fourth chakra, which is the heart, which is now yellow. It is no longer green. The green is the solar plexus. The heart center is a golden yellow. And I've been doing an arch from my fourth chakra up to my 10th chakra, and then bringing it back down again and entering the light through my back. So I'm creating a circle of light from the heart center to the 10th chakra. And if there's anything that's really heavy on your heart and you start working with the circle of light, it is amazing what will happen in your life when you get to perfect that meditation. It is amazing the events that will take place.
So when we talk about reincarnation, people have an opportunity to reincarnate, to progress.
Everybody reincarnates.
Exactly. So would you say that at each reincarnation we're perfecting the spiritual chakras? Would that be...
No. Let's go back to why we reincarnate. Okay, so we die and we go to our spiritual pod, and we dwell in that doing whatever we do for the growth of the soul. Remember, the soul is like a seed, and the soul is in the pod, and then it's time for you to go back to your life lessons. You sit down with your 9 guides, and you go over your past lives, all of them, and you decide what has been perfected and what has not. We're talking about love now. And you align yourself with the family, with the placement, with the language. You pick your parents, and you decide what you're going to work on in this next lifetime. And that's determined by your astrological chart. Then you're born into an area. You're born with your talents, and you're born to overcome. The gift of human life is precious. Let me tell you why. It is the only way that you can raise your soul vibration and jump from one pod to the next pod, so that when you pass away, you're not going to go back to the same place you came from. You're going to up your energy, and you up all of your ancestry energy too. So that if you can overcome and get it right this time, as I say, if you can get it right and you can bring in all the power for your new road and your new course, you're not only enhancing your lifetime, but you're upgrading all of your ancestors as well. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And then we grow closer to love. We grow closer to what God is, and we grow closer to love, to a new understanding of love. And sometimes we can do self-transformation, and we can raise our vibration out of the third dimension into the fourth or the fifth, and we can have new lives in other awarenesses.
That's interesting. That's very empowering as well. So I know because of our time, Elizabeth, we right now is as if we could wrap up this conversation. There are listeners throughout the world who are either live with us right now or will be listening to this on demand. And would like to focus on those who are suffering at this point. What would you like to tell them based on your studies and the information you've received as a means to not only console them, but also to empower them, please?
Well, I'm going to give you something that I did when I was 5 years old, and I'm still doing it. I would take the person and put them in my right hand, lay them down, lay their little etheric self down in your hand, say their name, put your left hand over them. No, it's the other way around. You'd lay them down in your left hand, take your right hand and place it over them in a cup-like manner, and fill them with light. Fill the light around them. You can't put the light in the body. You can only put it into their aura, and ask that love light be sent to them and awaken their knowledge and heal. And it is magical, especially if you do that chakra meditation to the 10th chakra, and you feel that you're in a circle of higher vibration and light, and then you send a person healing in this manner. It really will be received and will be helpful. It's very strong.
Very interesting. It's beautiful and it's interesting. And I know we could stay here with you longer and longer, but I know you have your time. So we'd like to thank you again and again, Elizabeth, for your sharing the experiences, writing this book, and coming to Kardec Radio today as a gift to all of us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
So, dear listener, what an opportunity for us to, I know it was so concentrated, right? Now it's our time to dilute it in our thoughts and feelings. So much information. Elizabeth Jones, her book here mentioned is The New Spiritual Chakras and how to work with them. You can get more information just by going to, you can get it at Amazon or Scarlet Publicity website as well. But this book can be very, very uplifting. And we find it very matching with lots of the Spiritist teachings. When we go to the book like Missionaries of the Light by André Luiz through Chico Xavier, he talks about the pineal gland, he talks about reincarnation. There's a specific chapter about how we reincarnate. And as Elizabeth was mentioning her teachings, we see the universality, and that's the beauty. Kardec Radio is here to show to you that we are all one, that we are united in this universality of the spiritual teachings. And when Elizabeth Jones was giving us the tip about meditating, for example, morning and the night review, it made me remind ourselves about St. Augustine's, the spirit of St. Augustine, his teachings in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, when he mentions about the importance of going to sleep and revisiting our day so we can reorganize the files of our emotions, thoughts before we actually sleep and begin a possible new day. Of course, if we wake up. And there are other teachings in the book Evolution into Worlds by André Luiz. And this book is in English, yet to be published by the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. But in the book, chapter 2, André Luiz talks about the chakras. In Spiritism, we name it vital centers. And the fact that we, with our thoughts and feelings, can work on them, activating and slowing down if it's overactive. And there are many techniques we can do this. Let's remind ourselves that we are composed of spiritual body, physical body. So we need to work on ourselves at a multidimensional level. What is more important of everything that we heard from Elizabeth today is what she said at the very beginning. We need to learn to work with God and allow the will of God to play out in our lives ever more in greater synchronicity. We need to allow the divine in ourselves to blossom. How? She said it, letting go of the old. And in this new year, it's a lot, as she said, about letting go. Each and every year has a specific, let's say, universal task for us to do. So let us focus on who we truly are, the spiritual selves, and march towards our progress, which is actually inevitable. Right now, we're going to give a break. When we come back, we have more, a lot more for you here at Kardec Radio.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Hey kids!
Did you know that Kardec Radio is now for you?
We, Mark,
and Carol,
are going to tell you the most beautiful, exciting, fun stories ever.
All with messages of love and hope that will make your heart smile.
Tune in to Kardec Radio Mondays beginning October 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for
Stories from the Heart at Kardec Radio for Kids.
Of course, if you miss us, you can always find us on demand at kardecradio.com.
If you like our stories, write to us or send your drawings to kardecforkids@gmail.com.
We can't wait to see you then.
Bye.
Nourish Your Soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on any previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereda. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. They will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews, Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in the Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we talked to Elizabeth Jones before the break, and she talked about her book, The Spiritual Chakras. In the Spiritist literature, Jusara Korngold compiled the information we need, especially for past givers, and information on chakras. It's a book that talks about healing, the paths, and you can get more of the book at the website of the Spiritist Group of New York, sgny.org. This year, as we are attuning ourselves with the high vibrations of the proposals of transformation in the world, would like to recommend to you the book After Death by Leon Denis. This book has 4 parts. In its 4th part, it talks about the pathway of transformation. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it's deep, and very practical. It inspires all of us to recalibrating ourselves in the daily struggles of life. And as Elizabeth said, we have an opportunity to begin anew every time. As we talked about the importance of meditation, meditation as an opportunity for us to unify multidimensionally, we also have the opportunity to focus on higher thoughts. As André Louis says to us, we need to learn how to acquire more noble thinking. And Leon Denis, in the book After Death, which you can acquire at the website of the United States Spiritist Council, spiritist.us. There you find the book After Death by Leon Denis. And in this book, several beautiful chapters. One of them is about studying. Very interesting, because we're living in a world that is so fast-paced. Everything is a click away, so much technology, and people often mentioning, like, I don't have time, I have ADHD, giving excuses about not being focused to study. And then Leon Denis opens that chapter talking about how studying can be uplifting. It can bring a new reality for us. He says books, good books, of course, are good friends. Friends that will guide us in new pathways. It's so interesting. The way he describes it all, it's very, very interesting. Very poetic, as we said. He talks about love. He talks about faith, ego, wealth, poverty. He talks about hope, consolations. And he says in that chapter about hope, faith, hope, and consolations. Faith is the trust that we have in our destinies, the feeling that elevates ourselves to the divine potency, and it's the certainty that we are safe in the pathway that leads us to the truth. How beautiful is it, dear listener? These thoughts can be very uplifting. We potentially have a listener here with us who would like to ask a question. We're going to try opening the line here. Hello, welcome to Kardec Radio. What's your name, please?
My name is Hadassah.
Hi, you have a question for us.
Yes, I study every day on a daily basis. I study the things that I'm trying to, get a better understanding, whether it's in my mind, my body, my spirit. I study to be ahead of, the information that I need to be able to effectively do my job, and also to navigate throughout, the system. There's times that it can be very overwhelming or mind-boggling because, like you said, we're transforming, and the information is coming at lightning speed. There's a time where all these ideas are just constantly being deposited in my mind, and I know that they're all interconnected, but then out of nowhere I'll go against a brick wall and then be completely depleted. So, I know that I if anything, I have too much information coming in at one time, and it creates the problems for me. I'm dealing with some very traumatic things right now in my life, and it's a result of a lot of things that other people are trying to do to me. So I'm trying to find an effective way to be able to block and shield and move forward and be able to take all that I know at another level without being completely depleted afterwards.
Yes.
I just wanted to go offer some insight.
Okay.
Because it is spiritually draining, but it's near and dear to my heart in all facets.
All right. We thank you very much for your question. We're going to keep you off air, but we're going to address your question right now, okay? Thank you very much for this important sharing and the question.
Thank you for taking my call.
You
and
were
I do
very
meditate
welcome.
as much as I possibly can. Even though the world is noisy and everything is moving so fast, I do meditate. I'm meditating now by listening
Uh-huh. That's beautiful. So let me share with you and the listeners, dear listener, such an important question. We're humans, and we're living in a world of deep transformations. Right now, as we speak, the world is really changing from a vibratory level to the next. It's what we call in Spiritism planetary transition. We're living this world, the world is changing from a world of trials and atonements to a world of regeneration. And that doesn't take like a day or two. It takes like some centuries. It doesn't take like, a few years. And it varies from person to person, the impact of it. For people like our listener who are more sensitive, like mediums, they have greater capacity of perceiving the vibratory changes. The fluctuations happen more often because of the very sensitivity of our mediumship, as we say in Spiritism. Thus, the reason in Spiritism for so much awareness on our inner thoughts and feelings. As she says, she meditates a lot, which is very important. But we, in the Spiritist teachings by Kardec, learned that the safe haven is always to reach out, constantly reach out to people who are suffering. In that way, we are creating protective field around us. It doesn't mean we're not going to suffer. It doesn't mean we're not going to be challenged, because we will. That's the nature of our planet. But we will bounce back more quickly, and will not allow ourselves to be drained for much longer. We will quickly bounce back from that depletion, and we'll be more fully aware of how we are exchanging thoughts and feelings with the world. So there's something for all of us here to think about. How can I raise myself above the level of awareness that I already have achieved? Because there's always a higher level. If I tell myself, but I already pray, but I already meditate, but I already know, the system physically and spiritually is telling us we need to do something more. And not only more quantity, but quality. And it's telling us, focus more on the sufferings of others. This is what the Spiritism tells us. For example, the life of Chico Xavier. He had so many struggles in his life. He has been historically the medium of all mediums. And he taught us that the more he worked selflessly to the benefit of other people, the less he felt the burdens in his life. The more we want the world to fulfill our expectations, the more we're going to suffer. The more we want to give ourselves to helping others, the more we're going to feel fulfilled, the more we're going to feel strengthened, because we're going to be connecting with the guardian angels of everybody we meet and help. It's a new dimension of work. When we realize, for example, the other day somebody was asking us about, what can I do because I'm sensitive, I'm a medium, and I feel when people are arguing, I start feeling the unsettledness inside of me. And the mentor said, well, first of all, breathe in and out deeply. And then the second thing is, raise yourself, connect to the guardian angels of the person or the people. It's easier to do it with people you don't have immediate expectations about. In our homes it's much harder because we often expect things from people we live with versus people whom we just meet in the street. We don't usually expect that much, so it's much easier. But it's a pathway for us to conquer to the deepest levels of ourselves. So we connect mind to mind in a prayerful mode with the guardian angels of the people who are creating this unsettling atmosphere, and we start visualizing that the guardian angels are compassionately showering light, love, protection towards everyone. And in that way, we're shielding ourselves and at the same time helping. Is it easy? No, we need training. But it's like going to the gym. You go there one day, next day, the other day, at the end of the month, our muscles are much stronger. So life is asking us to raise ourselves above what we've already acquired spiritually. There is always another level of spiritual awareness we need to achieve. Dear listener, we're going to go to another break. When we come back, we can still pick up your calls and talk to you, or listen to your comments and questions through the Blog Talk Radio chat room. If not, we're going to finalize also in a beautiful way the program today.
We will return to our program after these messages.
New release, Liberation. In this compelling narrative, Andre Louise emphasizes the work of high-order spirits in the effort to convert the spirit Gregorio to the good, an effort that culminates with the unforgettable re-encounter with his mother, herself a highly evolved spirit, wherein he surrenders to the irresistible call of love. The book also contains information on how unhappy spirits act as they try to involve incarnates in their wiles. The spirit author tells of the intercession of high-order spirits on behalf of human beings, demonstrating the divine compassion that grants to all the blessed opportunity to free themselves by means of study, labor, and persevering service in the practice of the good. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Want spiritual books for your children? At Edicei of America, you will find a collection of them. From the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the spirit Mei Mei through Chico Xavier brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adelison Sales on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand sections of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website, www.kardecradio.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
Hey kids.
It's Carol.
And Mark.
With stories from the heart from Kardec Radio for Kids.
Have you ever thought about what happens to the people we love when they pass on?
If this is a question that you would like to have an answer for,
please tune in for the adventures of Little Bella and the Caterpillar Bernadette.
We'll be sharing this great adventure with you on Monday, October 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on KardecRadio.com.
We can't wait to see you then.
Bye-bye.
And now we return to our program.
Yes, dear listener, you can tell we need to update our commercials here. Yay, we need a lot of help. So if you're listening to us and you'd like to help us at some point joining Kardec Radio's team, just write to us an email at kardecradio@gmail.com. We are always happy to have more people join us, our worldwide team of volunteers and helpers. Right now, we are going to march towards the end of our program. We hope that you're feeling more optimistic at the end of this program, and that you're feeling more illuminated as well. And I say this illuminated not because we don't have light, but we are allowing light to take us over. As we said in the book After Death by Leon Denis, In one of the chapters of the fourth part of the book, he mentions about how important it is for us to align ourselves to higher consciousness. In other words, he mentions happy is the individual that leads the life of obscurity and traps and walks constantly in the direction of an elevated objective that discerns and knows what is right. Happy are those that in the blow of the on high inspire his own works and carry them out. Pleasures are indifferent to this individual. The temptations of physical life, the mirage, the deceiving mirages of wealth have no domain on the very individual. A traveler marching towards progress, his goal calls him up. He decides and strives to achieve its elevation, his own elevation. This is a little bit about the invitation of the great spirit, Leon Denis. He keeps on living in the afterlife, and as we know, taking care of the spiritist progress on the earth. How about in 2016, attuning with the higher mind of Leon Denis and many other spirits who are kindly taking care of us in a very divine way. The book After Death is available at the Spiritist website, spiritist.us. For now, we wish you lots of blessings, hoping that you join us next week. Many blessings, dear listener.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.